It's another day, the sun is shining. Got to know what's going on around you. Wake up, it's the time to motivate your mind. Come with me, let's make this moment brighter. Wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Come on and wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Yeah.
Good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise. A very happy Monday morning to you. The star of the show will be here very shortly. I dressed up especially for her today. I know she took the weekend off. Looking forward to seeing you star very shortly. But listen, we've got a great show as always lined up for you. But we trust you had a wonderful weekend. Let me say good morning to Ramon Johnson. I tell you, Ramon, right off the bat, I'm saying good morning to you. You wanted to make sure that I did. We spent some time yesterday at the Bahamas Feeding Network. For those of you who haven't had an opportunity to go down there on Fox Hill Road, right next to the police station, Phil Smith, those are doing a really excellent job with that operation. I think we fed over 4,400 plates yesterday. I think it was probably the largest number. With some help from YPO and some guests from out of town, a really extraordinary experience for them all. I want to say congratulations as well to Junior Achievement New Providence. They had a trade show at the Arawak Key over the weekend. Guys, listen, I am just blown away by the things that you do, and of course looking forward to getting to the rest of the islands as we celebrate the 40th year of Junior Achievement in the country. And of course we started on Friday past when Gandhi, I almost went to say G, but you know, we only got one G in the studio. That's Godfrey Burnside Gandhi. But Lucenstein, of course, the Creole and Cajun Coffee House in the Bahamas, sponsoring this opening segment. And of course, the Sumatra Coffee. So if you haven't had a chance to go to Lucenstein's, right there on West Bay Street, you can't miss it. They have the wonderful view, wonderful service, and just an overall great group of guys down there. Of course, they open at 7 a.m. today, so pass on by. So we've got a great show lined up for you today. The Eugene DePuy Law School is here to talk about their 20th anniversary. It's hard to believe it's been 20 years already. Toastmasters Club 1600 is also in the house. Ladies' Night is coming up. It's going to be under the theme Sweet Talk. I won't elaborate on that any further. We'll wait for them. Of course, Dr. Pinto is back with Urology Care. We're talking testosterone, Godfrey. You know, the good doctor is always must-see TV. And we continue along in the series for the Historically Black Colleges Month. Black History Month, and Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity and Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority are back to continue to highlight the achievements of Bahamians who graduated from those universities. Of course, we've got this and much more. But of course, we have to start out. It was a wonderful weekend. It was just beautiful in terms of weather. Godfrey Burnside, with our first look with weather at sunrise, is going to tell us all about it.
Weather at Sunrise, brought to you by Bahamas First. First in insurance, today, tomorrow.
And a lovely week in store. We have high pressure down there, the feature across the island, so you're going to expect lots of sunshine, warm temperatures, and by tomorrow into Wednesday, a little bit of breeze will pick up across the islands. Any weather today, we're looking at mostly sunny and warm. There's a slight chance of 1 or 2 passing showers. Your high temperature reaching 83 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight, expect a few patchy clouds on the mild side. Your low temperature going down to 71 degrees Fahrenheit. And some regional highs and lows across the Caribbean, Barbados, 82 and 75. In Jamaica, 81 and 69. In Trinidad, 88 and 72. And the Turks and Caicos Islands, 83 and 70. Across North America, Atlanta, 59 and 54. In Raleigh, 59 and 45. In Miami, 81 and 72. Dallas, Texas, 48 and 39. And Toronto, Canada, 17 and 05. So going into the week, that high pressure will dominate the weather through the week. Lots of sunshine, warm temperatures, slight chance of passing showers by afternoon. temperature daytime will continue to be in the mid-80s at daytime, the lower 70s at nighttime. That puts you up in your first look at weather sunrise. I'm Godfrey Burnside. Back to you, Phil.
Thank you very much, Godfrey. Listen, I am beaming this morning. I got all the women's them in the studio. A quartet of very lovely women here this morning from the Eugene DePuy Law School. They are celebrating 20 years of excellence in legal education and, of course, its commitment to social service. Let me introduce them to you. We have Tonya Bastian. She's the principal of the Eugene DePuy Law School. Of course, no stranger to Bahamas at Sunrise and no stranger to us as well. Nicole Sutherland King. She's the director of Legal Aid Clinic at the Eugene DePuy Law School. Dawn Burrows, another old friend, in fact, from the university, well, I could say the College of the Bahamas, but the University of Bahamas now. She's the registrar at the Eugene DePuy Law School. And Alexandria Newton, Student Association Executive Member. Ladies, good morning.
Good morning. Good
Welcome
morning.
to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Thank you.
Man, you guys look good so early in the morning. But let's start a little bit about the history. The institution was established in 1998?
1998, yes. It was established in 1998. Thank you so much for having us. Good morning, Bahamas.
Good morning.
Yes, and it was established by the Council of Legal Education at the invitation of the government of the Bahamas to provide practical skills-based training in law.
Okay, all right. And of course, you know, 1998, I mean, we say 20 years, but it's not that long ago. But tell us about the evolution of the school. I mean, how many students are currently enrolled? You know, what did we start out with? And what's your continued focus?
Well, when we started, we had a small group of students, about 20 odd. We are now at, the student population has fluctuated over the years from 6 to 40, depending on the year. We've matriculated more than 500 students. Our focus is to provide the legal training so that students are qualified to practice locally and in the Commonwealth Caribbean when they leave with the legal education certificate.
Does that mean that the students mostly Bahamians, of course, but we've got a mix from other Commonwealth countries?
Well, yes, thank you. The students are, most of them come from the Bahamas, naturally, but we also have zoned to our law school, and by that we mean students from various countries who are able to attend. We have persons from the British Virgin Islands. We have persons from the Turks and Caicos. We have one person from the Turks and Caicos this year. Over the years, though, the law school has had students from all over the Caribbean, and particularly we've had persons from Jamaica and Trinidad throughout the years.
Okay, all right. We talk about the legal aid clinic. Is that something like a department separate and apart within?
Right, so let me tell you a bit about the Legal Aid Clinic. As principal indicated, what we do at the law school is we provide the practical training. So our Legal Aid Clinic is where we provide our clinical instruction for our students, and that means that is where they get the hands-on experience. So we treat it as kind of a capstone course. So our second years spend a year with us in the Legal Aid Clinic, where under the direction of myself and the other faculty members, we actually provide legal services to members of the public.
All right, all right. So it says here, Student Association Executive Member.
Yes.
What executive are you? What position do you hold?
I'm the vice president.
Okay.
And so the body comprises of the president, vice president, myself, treasurer, and secretary. And it is a student association board, so I am in an elected position. We liaison with the administration and the students as it relates to concerns that may arise through the school year.
Okay, what year are you?
Second year.
Second year, okay.
Second
You
year.
just jumped right into it. How's the experience been thus far? I mean,
The experience has been good so far. Life as a student is always difficult. That's why it's so important to strike a balance. So with work, you always have to find some time to play.
yeah, you love it, right? You know, when students get in and say, life as a student is just so difficult. Oh, you just wait. Just wait. But listen, so 20 years. I mean, you've got a lineup of activities. Just tell us more. What are the plans?
We're having a couple of things. A distinguished lecture on Thursday, 21st February. Our distinguished lecturer is Mr. Justice Dennis Morrison. He's the president of the Court of Appeal of Jamaica. And he's going to be talking about new technologies in the law. It's at the British Colonial Hilton at 6:30, and it's open to the public, and it's free of charge. So we're inviting everybody to come.
To come, okay.
Yes.
All right, great. You know, as registrar, I mean, you get to see the internal workings of the university, yeah, I guess you can call
The
it
law
that,
school.
the law school. What do you see as continued evolution of the school over the next several years? I mean, from where you're sitting.
Well, definitely, we need to make sure that we have greater public awareness about the school and what it is that we do. We are very proud of our community outreach programs. We have various clinics that we put on, and in particular, one of the 20th anniversary activities is a legal aid clinic that we're going to be putting on for the public.
Okay.
And so greater public awareness about the things that we do to ensure that we are a good partner with the community.
Okay.
Is definitely a place that we want to spend more time with, something we want to do and spend more time with over in the next short while.
And can I just jump on
Yeah.
the registrar's comments about our legal aid clinic? We're going to be having a legal aid clinic. It's free. It's for the community. It's going to be on Saturday, February the 23rd, and it's going to be at our premises, which are on Rosetta Street, upstairs the current Department of Labor. We are going to be having presentations on the areas of law that we get the most inquiries about. So we'll have presentations on family matters, divorces, children access, maintenance. So if you have questions about things like that, please feel free to check us out. You can give us a call, though. That's the only thing that we ask, that you register so that we can make sure that we can accommodate everybody. And we've also had members of faculty and our alum come on board to provide free consultations to members of the public. So we just need you to give us a call and register for that.
All right.
I just have to say, all work and no play. We're having a gala dinner
Yeah.
on this Saturday.
All
Tickets
right,
are
I was about to say.
$150. Yes, and I have to really, really thank our corporate sponsors.
Yes, and in particular, there are some law firms that partner with us. We have gold sponsorship. We have McKinney, Bancroft and Hughes, and Calendars and Co., who are our gold partners. And then we had some silver partners, Clinton Sweeten O'Brien and Lennox Payton. But in particular, there are some silver partners who aren't law firms.
Okay.
We have the Securities Commission of the Bahamas, Genesis Fund Services Limited, and we also have HLB Galanas. Almost forgot that important one. And so we're very grateful to all our partners.
Okay, excellent, excellent. I'll end with the student. We hear about the legal fraternity all the time. What prompted you? Why did you choose this particular career?
I've been asked this question a million times, but
Hopefully you only got one answer.
Yes, yes, yes. It's simply to give back. You
Okay.
know, attorneys, they join the profession, and I think that it's important that we always remember those less fortunate than us. Even if it's not humans, it could be animals, but we always have to remember to give back. And so that's extremely important.
Well, I tell you what, you're not going to run out of work now that this environment. But ladies, listen, thank you very much for joining us here in Bahamas at Sunrise. The Eugene DePuche Law School is celebrating their 20th anniversary, established in 1998. Very pleased to be joined by the principal, as Nicole would have called her many times on the show, Tonya Bastian, Nicole Sutherland King, she's Director of Legal Aid, Dawn Burrows, the registrar, and of course, the Vice President? Yes, sir. Vice President of the Student Association, Alexandra Newton. You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. Please join them next week and, of course, over the course of the year as they continue to celebrate their 20th anniversary. We'll be right back.
Good afternoon. First response. How can I help you?
I've been in an accident on West Bay Street. Can you send someone to help?
Yes, ma'am. A first response team will be there in 15 minutes. Are you hurt?
No, I'm fine, but a bit upset.
We're glad you're not hurt. Please, try to relax. Our team will take care of everything as soon as they arrive.
First Response provides immediate on-site service and support from the scene of an accident through the claims and repair process. And it's free to all Bahamas First insured drivers in New Providence, every day for any type of accident. If you drive and want First Response on your side, call 321st or visit bahamasfirst.com for the name of an authorized Bahamas First agent. First Response can't prevent an accident from happening,
But it can certainly ease your mind when it happens.
Wait, that's Omar Little from The Wire. You think everyone is Omar from The Wire?
Wow, it's really nice to meet a fan.
It's like he's right here. I telling you he's been all type shows and stuff?
And you know, Rev Go Play plays a lot of good movies and TV shows.
Excuse me, can't you see we're watching something else? Rude.
Settle all your pop culture disputes with Rev Go Play. Watch, record, and stream all your favorite shows wherever you are. Free for all Rev TV subscribers. Rev, you and us together.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. The first branch of Toastmasters, Club 1600, is hosting a ladies' night under the theme Sweet Talk. Well, here to talk to us more about the upcoming event, we're very happy to welcome the president of Toastmasters Club 1600, Mr. Osborne Moxie, and Vice President of Education, Mr. Anson Munnings. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning. Good morning.
A pleasure to have you with us. Whenever we see 1600 come in, we know that it's going to be a really good time. And it's another year and another ladies' night, correct?
Yes, it is.
All right. Before we get into the details of ladies' night itself, talk to us about the Toastmasters program. For those that may not know, what exactly is it?
Well, the Toastmasters program is where we are able to teach persons how to be better communicators.
Okay.
And if you're a better communicator, you obviously will be a better leader.
Okay.
So we're supportive in that aspect. We also do a number of community outreach to where we go into communities and we assist those persons that may not have an opportunity, whether it's through the Gentlemen's Club or through our outreach at the Rampolion for Kids and other organizations within the community. We just go there, try to assist as best as we can, try to teach the younger persons how to communicate, because that's one of the things that we see that is lacking in our communities.
Certainly, certainly, and I believe so much in the mission of Toastmasters in that regard, because if you can communicate more effectively, I think a lot of the challenges we see, even in terms of physical violence and that sort of thing, would diminish because we can express our feelings, come to an agreement, and so certainly a noble ideal from Toastmasters. And 1600 itself is a very special club. You guys call yourself the first Bahamas branch, so I'm assuming that you guys were the first Toastmasters club in the Bahamas.
That is right.
Okay.
Chartered in 1969.
Okay, and since then, that's an excellent legacy to be continuing on. 1969, 2019, that sounds
50.
about
Yeah,
50
about
years, man.
50 years, 50 years.
50 years of Toastmasters, okay. So this year, that means that Ladies Night has got to be extra special. Mr. VP, talk to me about what we can expect from Ladies Night this year.
Well, Star, as always, Ladies Night is one of the highlights of our Toastmasters here. You can expect dynamic speeches, prizes and surprises for the ladies. Our speakers who are speaking on Thursday, they have been preparing from November. Okay. And with the theme in mind, Sweet Talk, we guaranteed the ladies, the speeches will be sweet. Trust you me.
All right, so Sweet Talk for the ladies. Obviously, it is a ladies' night. And of course, people can come out and expect to hear speeches. But is there anything else that makes the event itself exciting? Because for some people, I don't know, they may not think it's very interesting to hear people come out and talk. What about it is so exciting and something that women really want to come out and enjoy?
Well, it's definitely the way that we convey our message. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
It's how we may describe any one thing.
Okay.
There's always a take-home message.
Okay.
But generally, the presentations that are provided, they're air-catching.
Okay.
And generally, the ladies, they love it. I mean, every year we get about 300 to 400 ladies that come out to support us.
Okay.
And we're happy for that.
Okay.
You know, one of the things that we recognize that obviously a lot of the members are married or they have daughters, and it's a way for us to give back, to show them that, yes, we appreciate the fact that you allow a male member of your family out of your house every Thursday evening at 8 p.m. to come with us and to be with us, to fellowship as men.
Okay.
And also to help us to better ourselves through communication.
All right.
So every year it's a well-supported event by ladies such as yourself. And so we're hoping that we see you and you can bring some of your colleagues here from the counselors. But it's always a very, very big event for us.
It is. I've had the pleasure of attending for several years, and certainly I know that while it is speeches being given, as you would have mentioned, Oswan, it's the descriptive way in which you speak, right? And you see the best of the program come to life because people really bring positive stories to life. There's been years when there have been cupcakes given out as people have spoken. There have been years when people have sang songs and played symphonies. I remember one year someone even giving a massage to someone in the middle of a speech. So I mean, this is really a creative, almost, and it's not theatrical because it's a bit more serious than that, but certainly a very creative way of communicating with women at 1600 Ladies Night. So it sounds good in theory. Is there a cost for the women to come in on Thursday night?
No cost for women.
Okay.
No cost for women. There is a door fee for men.
Okay.
Because it's about the ladies. It's about the ladies. And of course, you know, we would appreciate there be more ladies than men.
Okay.
But it's definitely about the ladies. So there's no cost for ladies, but it's definitely a door charge for men.
A door charge for men, no cost for ladies. And then is there a way that we can follow and keep up with Toastmasters 1600 and all of the other events and community or service that you provide?
Yes, we are on Facebook, Toastmasters Club 1600, and our Instagram page is 1600 Toastmasters Club, 1600 Toastmasters.
Okay.
So we are there on social media, so feel free to follow us, where we'll be providing updates as to pertains to Ladies Night and of course our community programs.
Now, in years past, you guys have had some fun things happen. About 2 years, I remember an auction going on. Another year, I remember lots and lots of prizes being given away. One but Mr. B.H. Hanna.
That is right.
When can we expect the same thing this year?
We can expect the same thing. B.H. He is very geared up for it. He's ready to
excited.
Excited. He's already went to the store. He's bought all of his trinkets. And everybody knows that B.H. Hanna, he brings a lot of energy.
Okay.
Anytime he's there. We're going to have the auction again. And we are mulling over something very special for the ladies that evening.
Okay.
And it's something that we'll definitely let go as we continue to release updates to our flyer.
Okay.
And so just come out. You'll be very surprised. It is the 50th year. And we really want to make this a very special event.
Yes. All right. Who's the chairman for the night? Can I know? Or must I be surprised on the day of?
You'll be surprised. Very surprised.
All right. So looking forward to some dynamic speakers. I think 4 speakers in total will speak that night.
Yes, 4.
And of course, all of this happens this Thursday. That's the 21st of February. Did I get that date correct?
21st of February.
At 8 o'clock p.m.
Yes.
At Super Club's Breezers.
Yes.
Okay. And of course, that is the 1600 Ladies Night. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Congratulations to you all and those who've come before you for 50 years of effective communication in the country.
Yes.
And of course, looking forward to Sweet Talk at Ladies Night this Thursday.
Yes,
yes.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
WTO membership will bring benefits to the Bahamas. These benefits include increased economic growth and development, increased opportunities for Bahamian exports, higher employment, better income for Bahamian workers, lower cost of living for Bahamian consumers, increased choices for Bahamian consumers, modernization in government services, and better relations with trade partners. These benefits, combined with progressive planning and execution by our private and public sectors, will produce a better life for Bahamians.
My name is Regilio Bethel. My position on board Equinox is mate, relief captain. I must say that during our travels and journeys throughout the Exuma Keys, we've had a few dark or dead spots. Basically, there was no service. They were just dark spots. We would basically be dead ship out in the cold without any communication. And it's been like that for years, and we've gotten used to it. But life has now provided us with a service which we can stay communicated during our entire voyages. And I've been waiting for Live to bring their service up to full more coverage throughout the Bahamas, which they've done in an amazing amount of time. So yeah, I would encourage them all to get that service. It's an awesome service, no interruptions, and it's awesome.
Welcome back. Of course, the month of February is known as Black History Month, and all month long we have been with Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity and Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. They have teamed up to highlight the achievements of local Bahamians who've graduated from historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, as they're better known as. In studio today, we have Tammy Francis. She's the Assistant Director of Analytics Research and Actuarial Services at the National Insurance Board. She's a graduate of North Carolina A&T University and a member of AKA sorority. We also have the Troy Sampson, Manager of Strategic Development and Initiatives, the Bahamas Development Bank, graduate of Xavier University in Louisiana, member of Alpha Phi Alpha. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Good to be here. Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, wearing a different hat.
Indeed. Indeed.
Listen, we've had some really great conversations over the past month with regards to your organizations and of course Black History Month. But Tom, I'm going to start with you because you would have attended actually two historically black colleges. Of course, we're going to talk about the second one, North Carolina A&T University, which is actually the first institution for people of color in North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah, tell us about that school.
Well, North Carolina A&T was founded on the belief that everyone should have access to a college education. And North Carolina A&T was somewhat of a home away from home for me.
Yeah.
I had, for both of my college experiences, I had unique but similar experiences in that in my undergrad experience, I was the only Bahamian at the time at that particular school. That was Lemoyne Owen College in Memphis, Tennessee. And at A&T, I was the only Bahamian in my program. Now, I initially went to A&T. A&T is a very well-known school for engineering.
Right.
It's the leading producer of engineers, black engineers in the United States. And I actually went to A&T to study chemical engineering. Unfortunately, I realized when I got there, I had already left home. I realized when I got there, I did not have sufficient funds. And I had to actually find a new degree, but it actually found me. And I was embraced into the School of Agriculture, and I continued on and I did my master's in food science and nutrition. So that particular school, I embraced me so much that where I had my financial constraints, they provided me, I had 1 semester worth of funds.
Wow.
I came home for a Christmas break and I knew I was not going to be able to return. And I got a call on Christmas morning from the dean of the School of Agriculture, and he told me he had a Christmas gift for me, and I was awarded with a full scholarship to continue.
After 1 semester.
Yes, after 1 semester.
Excellent.
So it's truly a family, a community, one that embraces persons of color.
Excellent, excellent. Troy, Xavier University in Louisiana has the distinction of being the only historically black Roman Catholic institution of higher education in the U.S. Another really great school. You would have been there just recently. But tell us more about it, Troy.
Yeah, and on top of that, Phil, it also has the distinction of being the only Roman Catholic institution that is predominantly black. And so it's a two-sided coin in that regard. But Xavier, founded in 1925 by a nun by the name of Catherine Drexel, who has, in the Catholic tradition, become a saint, was founded predominantly for the American Indian population at the time and the African American population, who were generally the disenfranchised population of the United States. It is a liberal arts university, and one that really looks at the development of the whole person. It has a very strong, rigorous academic program, but like most liberal arts universities of the Catholic and Benedictine tradition in particular, it really looks at the formation of the full individual. And so, along with the academic rigors, there's a robust social environment, a robust cultural environment where as students, you had the opportunity to be exposed to luminaries from a number of disciplines and social causes in the United States, people like Kwame Ture, and representatives of various aspects of the civil rights movement were people that came and spoke and gave a perspective that you probably typically wouldn't get at other institutions.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, all month long we've been hearing these wonderful stories from these universities. But how did you get there? Because again, you have parents and students who are watching and saying, well, that sounds interesting, but what were some of the deciding factors that made you, attend A&T and drew you to Xavier?
Well, one of the things about HBCUs, it has a very, very intense spirit of legacy.
Okay.
For me, I actually come from a family of HBCU graduates.
Okay, all right.
So for me, it was a no-brainer, that I would have...
You just had to choose which one.
Exactly.
Okay.
That I would have, continued my education at an HBCU. I have 3 sisters that went to HBCUs. I have a nephew who went to Morehouse College at Clark, Atlanta. Yeah. And my husband, he also graduated from the first HBCU, Cheney University of Pennsylvania. Okay. So for me, I actually wanted to engage in education of persons that looked like me.
Right. Okay.
I actually also had the experience of a more predominantly white university, both in Switzerland and in Memphis, Tennessee. So I had, I had a very good benchmark to gauge my education at an HBCU, and I mean,
of course, it added to like your life's experience.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, well, for me, it really kind of stemmed around the fact that my family were predominantly Catholic.
Okay.
Both of my siblings went to Catholic universities, one in Minnesota and one in North Carolina. Xavier, being, again, Catholic, was part of the draw for me, but in addition to that, it was also, again, an intimate university with less than 4,000 students, with a very strong focus on academics and really a culture of excellence and creating opportunities for people to, despite the rigors of the academic program, to succeed. And, visiting there and kind of doing the research on the university, it seemed like a really good fit. It was, less than 2 hours away by plane from home. The culture of New Orleans is its own draw. And so, being in a city that offered so much, focused academic program, but yet, the opportunity to experience the culture that is so rich, like New Orleans, really was a big draw for me.
Yeah, no doubt. Listen, I mean, we can talk all day. I'm so interested in your stories, and I'm sure the people are at home as well. I'm pretty sure they're also going to, do a little more research on A&T and Xavier, and hopefully amongst all the other historically black colleges, maybe you guys will come on top. Tammy, Troy, thank you so much for joining us here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
You'll be right back.
WTO memberships will bring benefits to the Bahamas. These benefits include increased economic growth and development, increased opportunities for Bahamian exports, higher employment, better income for Bahamian workers, lower cost of living for Bahamian consumers, increased choices for Bahamian consumers, modernization in government services, and better relations with trade partners. These benefits, combined with progressive planning and execution by our private and public sectors, will produce a better life for Bahamians.
Aunt Jemima Pancake Mix, now $4.99 at Solomon. Aunt Jemima Syrup, now $4.19 at Solomon's.
Patricia Bath was born in Harlem, New York on November 4th, 1942. She earned her bachelor's degree at Hunter College in 1964, a medical degree from Howard University in 1968, and completed a fellowship in ophthalmology at Columbia University in 1970. In 1973, she became the first African American to complete a residency in ophthalmology at New York University. In 1977, she and 3 other colleagues founded the American Institute for the Prevention of Blindness, an organization whose mission is to protect, preserve, and restore sight. She invented the laser phaco probe in 1986. The device was created to offer a less painful and more precise treatment of cataracts. In 1988, she received a patent for the device and became the first African-American female doctor to receive a patent for a medical purpose. A Moment in Black History is brought to you by Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity and by the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority in conjunction with the Counselors Limited.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. We're at the halfway point on this marvelous Monday, and we're so glad that you were still with us and have been with us throughout the morning.
Throughout the morning and throughout, I forgot to mention earlier that Buddy, of course, participated in the three-point shootout and did very well.
Yeah, he
did very well, came third. That's, he's probably, shooting with the greatest three-point, artist of all time in Steph Curry. So I think it was a really good experience. And then DeAndre, of course, played in the, was it the Rising Stars?
Okay.
Had about 15 points there. So, our guys are doing their thing.
Yeah, man, it's good to see Bahamian talent. And certainly we are the most talented people, really some of the best in the world
that.
when you think about us per capita. And so congratulations to Buddy Hill and to every Bahamian out there doing their best to pursue their dreams to the best of their ability and be an excellent person. By all means, we of course love you and support you here on Bahamas at Sunrise.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've got more for you in our second half of the show. Providence Law is here to discuss the blacklisting of the Bahamas by the EU. Listen, I believe you're doing that segment. But
yeah, I'm doing it, but I'm looking forward to the conversation because I love the way Providence Law breaks things down as it relates to that. But it really is something to behold, right? Because you wonder, you don't want, again, anyway, I'll talk to the lawyers about it. I'll talk to the lawyers about it because, somebody could tell you, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, you do this, do this, do this, do this, and then it's still not there.
They become theirs. Anyway, that's a sovereignty talk as well.
Yeah.
And Dr. Pinto, we're talking testosterone.
Yeah, talking testosterone today. You're always excited when Dr. Pinto is here. He certainly helps people to be excited too, so that's always a good thing. We're going to come back with all of that and more after we take a second look at weather with Godfrey Burnside.
Weather at Sunrise, brought to you by Bahamas First in Insurance, today, tomorrow.
Thank you, starring boy Bahamas, and I'm going to say goodbye to DeAndre this morning. She was with us for a few weeks, internship from the UB, and she's been a great person in the morning, and I would like to bid the best of luck in all the educational pursuit. In your second look at the weather, high pressure downweather fish across the islands, a lovely weekend still weather-wise, lots of sunshine, warm temperatures, and yes, there's a chance of one or two little spotty showers, the temperature rise in the mid-80s at daytime. In your marine forecast, winds today southeast to south at 10 to 15 knots, 4 feet over the northwest Bahamas, east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, 0 to 4 feet over the central and southeastern islands. On Tuesday, this one started increasing, east to southeast at 15 knots, 0 to 5 over the northwest Bahamas, and east to 15-20 knots, 4 to 6 feet over the central southeastern islands. On Wednesday, those winds east to southeast at 15-20 knots, 4 to 6 feet over the northwest Bahamas, and continuing 15 to 20 knots, 4 to 6 feet over the central and southeastern islands. Your tides. Can you have a high tide that happened at 6:25 this morning? Net low tide will be at 52 minutes past midday. High gain this evening at 6:47. Sunset 6:04 this evening. Rises tomorrow at 6:41. UV index 8. Your water temperature 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Honeymoon phase, we have a full moon. Extended look, lots of sunshine, warm temperatures, slight chance of a couple of showers through the week. Temperature daytime will be in the mid-80s, at nighttime in the lower 70s. That puts a wrap on your final look at weather sunrise. I'm Godfrey Burnside. Back to you, Star.
Thank you so much, Godfrey. By a statement released on Wednesday, February 13th, the European Commission issued a list of purportedly high-risk jurisdictions, posing significant financial threats to the European Union's financial system as a result of strategic deficiencies in their anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism regimes. Long story short, they said that the Bahamas was included in this list of 23 countries, and in short, this is another form of blacklisting for us. The managing partner of Providence Law, Mr. Merritt Storr, is here to discuss this with us. Good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Thank you. Good morning.
Merritt, this is interesting stuff. I remember the first year we were blacklisted back in 2000, and since then the Bahamas has really been trying as a country, even though they've had constant pressure, to fix themselves in a way that they would be, I guess, approved by these institutions and not considered to be on a blacklist. We've seen, you know, us do things in terms of confidentiality, tax information exchange, anti-money laundering, an anti-terrorism act. We've done all of these things by law, and then we've seen so many of our people go out and get compliance certifications, and yet still, here we are. Where's the pressure coming from?
Interestingly, a number of what I would call regional organizations made up of different countries, but primarily European, North American countries. The OECD, which is a common acronym, the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, is one organization. The European Union, which is a group of member states in Europe. The FATF, the Financial Action Task Force, which is primarily tasked with dealing with anti-money laundering and making sure that dirty money cannot get into the system. So quite frankly, these are supranational organizations primarily based in Europe, which are seeking to impose their regulatory regimes on countries like the Bahamas. And again, it's because their citizens often use the services that are available in offshore jurisdictions like the Bahamas, and quite frankly, they're trying to make sure that they retain as much tax revenue as they can.
And I like that. I like the fact that you're quite frank about it, right? Because I think about it as almost when parents say, do what I say and not what I do. Because I look, for example, at the fact that we're being made to be responsible to collect the revenue of OECD countries and to enforce very stringent anti-money laundering procedures. To open a bank account, for example. But those same OECD countries in their own jurisdictions do not enforce that.
Right. It's amazing. I mean, we are actually losing business to some states in the United States. Delaware, Nevada, there's certain states where it's very easy to do business. And yet we are being held to this very stringent standard that is squeezing our business. But really, it's really come down to competition for tax revenue. And in a way, I understand that, or we can understand that, because we're also in the dilemma of trying to increase tax revenue ourselves. But at the same time, there should be a level playing field, is a term that you often hear. And the question is whether standards and enforcement methodologies are being placed on small states like the Bahamas that are not being placed on the so-called home countries. Okay, but it's all about tax revenue.
Okay. And again, like you said, I can agree and understand that you need tax revenue, you need to raise it. But when it begins to destroy our entire sector, you know, I feel some type of way about that, as the young people would say. And I guess I kind of wonder why we keep responding, right? Why do we respond to this naming and shaming? Are there ramifications if we just said, well, that's how you feel, we don't care?
Well, you know, it's interesting. There are no real legal ramifications if we were to take that approach and say we just don't care. But the issue is financial services is really a reputational business, okay? And so there are legitimate business persons and individuals who may and will want to do business in the Bahamas, but they will be deterred, scared off, if these naming and shaming and the blacklists, etc., are out there. They cannot afford the reputational damage, okay? And so every time the Bahamas is placed on one of these lists, we feel it's imperative for us to maintain our reputation as a legitimate place to do business and that we are equal to anywhere else in the world. However, if you're on one of these lists and you do not have the economic leverage to resist it, then you succumb to the need to try to get in line. And we've been constantly trying to do that now for the last 19 years. In fact, in December, our Parliament passed a slew of legislation to avoid being blacklisted on another front. So it seems to be a never-ending battle, and every time we're getting squeezed more and more.
And so this is my concern, and it may be totally unrelated, right? But we talk about, we need to join the World Trade Organization so we can have a playing field. We need to join this organization so it's equal, because we're small and they're big. And yet I never feel as if we achieve it. And maybe, and you can let us know, is there some sort of international body that can say, well, this is unfair for smaller countries? Is there someone that can defend us and say, that we should all be on the same playing field if we're going to do this?
That's the million-dollar question. Interestingly, one of our former attorney generals released a statement during the past week, and he had some suggestions. But, you know, one, we could go to the UN, maybe as smaller states, CARICOM, and try and make a case for the unfairness of the treatment that's being meted out to small states. There is an international court at The Hague where possibly you could bring a case. Interestingly, you mentioned the WTO. The WTO has what is called an international dispute mechanism for its members. So that theoretically that means that smaller states should be able to bring a case against larger states within the WTO framework. How effective that is, I don't know, but the mechanism is there for that. Okay, so, but again, it really is a very challenging situation, but I do think that we really need to collaborate with other states in our predicament, in our situation, to see what can be done. Otherwise, this will, into what I see, this will just continue. They're going to squeeze us until there's no business left. That's the goal, really, I believe.
I mean, and it, you know, you don't want to say it's unfair, right? Because it seems like a trivial word, but it is unfair. And I consider like the U.S. territories that were named with us in this, in particular Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, and American Samoa. And the European Commission said that these were all high-risk jurisdictions posing threats, and they're all, of course, U.S. territories. U.S. response was...
Well, immediately, the U.S. Treasury Department issued a statement, and they said that, one, you didn't consult with us on this. You didn't give us an opportunity to respond to this. They said that, you know, the Financial Action Task Force already monitors anti-money laundering. We're part of that. And so this seems to be unnecessary. And so I wanted to read in part what they also said. They rejected it, by the way, and they were very clear. So I'm reading from the Treasury Department statement in part. It said, the Treasury Department rejects the inclusion of American Samoa, Guam, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands on the list. The commitments and actions of the United States in implementing the FATF standards, which I just referred to, extend to all U.S. territories. The same AML CFT legal framework that applies to the continental United States also generally applies to U.S. territories. So don't touch none of our stuff. Moreover, the Treasury Department was not provided any meaningful opportunity to discuss with the European Commission its basis for including the listed U.S. territories. In conclusion, the Treasury Department does not expect U.S. financial institutions to take the European Commission's list into account in their AML CFT policies and procedures. In other words, you could ignore them, go about your business as you normally do. But, you know, I mean, we can't do that, apparently, okay? But the European countries have to do business with the U.S. They're so large that you cannot ignore them. And so they could take a position and say, hey, listen, let's do business as normal. We don't need to pay no attention to that, ignore that. Unfortunately, because of our size, we cannot. Okay, and that's the gross, I mean, to me, this is the classic response example of the fact that this is unfair. Okay, and it's a fact of your size that really dictates how you can respond and deal with these types of matters.
We have to look to the future, though. And before I go, I must get from you, and I'm hoping that it will be on a positive note. Is there a way forward for us? Is there something or anything we can do, even in terms of our economic independence?
Right. Well, I think, again, we have to be prepared to collaborate with small states. I mean, if we're going to go it alone to try to respond to the European Commission and the European Union and the OECD, it's going to be difficult, extremely difficult. We have to find other countries in a similar position to ours and come together and collaborate and maybe try to use the UN as a forum. Whether it'll work or not, sometimes you have to try and name and shame the big countries into clarifying and showing that the methodologies they're using do not create a level playing field. And really what they're doing is just trying to compete for business and using this particular guise as a way to take business back from us. But I think we have to collaborate with other states.
Mr. Starr, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Always an enlightening conversation. Certainly one that guides the right frame of mind as we look at things from a bigger picture. And so we're grateful for you for joining us again.
My pleasure.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We're working on the level playing field. How it will happen, I do not know, but I'm sure one of you has the answer. And you're going to let us know as soon as we get back with more after this commercial break.
Lysol disinfectant spray, now $8.99 at Solomon's.
I always wanted to come back to the College of Bahamas. I wanted to be a faculty. When the opportunity came for me to be Vice President of Operations, I said, well, let me try that first. It makes me proud because I was here before. I feel as if now I'm sort of like a beacon for those students who are here to say, hey, listen, I can actually be a Vice President. I can actually be one of the big leaders at the university. I'm Ronnie Stevenson, and this is my UB.
Apply today at www.ub.edu.bs.
Grand Bahamas' biggest business conference. Be there Thursday, February 21st at the Grand Lucayan Resort at 8:30 a.m. Keynote address by Senator the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, Minister for Grand Bahama. Register now. Contact Margaret Albury at the Councilors Limited at 322-7505 or Merson Ferguson at the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce 242-352-8329 or register online at tclevents.com. Grand Bahama Business Outlook 2019.
So who really own the Nassau Container Port? Boss, that's easy. The government. I do.
I do. Thank you.
I do.
I do. And one day, he will too.
I do. Knock knock.
Here at the Nassau Container Port, we've diversified our ownership to give hardworking Bahamians a piece of the economic pie. And we'll continue to grow so that we can give you a consistent return on your investment. That's our promise.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise Star. This segment is just for you. I feel like roaring. It's manpower time, you know. There you go, manpower time. Listen, Dr. Pinto is back in the studio. We've been learning a lot about the urinary system, of course, male, sexual, and reproductive organs. But we're talking about testosterone this morning, Doc.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Phil.
I don't know if I should be doing this segment with my jacket on, but you know, maybe there's some myths related to testosterone. But let's just get into this particular topic. Let's start with the classic definition. Because again, we have our own definitions of testosterone.
Well, for testosterone, it's the male hormone that makes men men.
Okay.
It's very important in almost every organ in the body. So in terms of...
Some would say it's the most important.
Yes. So I think the conception is in the public that it's just related to erectile function, which it has an important role. But however, it has a vast array of important features. So in terms of red blood cell production, bone density, muscle mass, it can keep off the weight. It's related to male metabolic syndrome, where you can be predisposed to developing high cholesterol, late onset diabetes, hypertension.
Okay.
It's also important in terms of protecting your cardiovascular system as well. So the classical symptoms are, as a man gets older, middle age or older, that all of a sudden they're putting on 20 pounds, 25 pounds over a period of a year, 2 years. They're still having the same activity level. They're watching their diet. They might even increase their exercise activity because they're putting on that weight. But no matter what they do, they can't take off that weight. They might find that, not necessarily them, but it might be their colleagues, their wife, their church members notice that they're more irritable. They don't have that cognition that they used to have. They don't have the memory they once had. They're not sleeping as well, so they might be more fatigued throughout the day. All of a sudden, if they have hypertension their whole life, it's more difficult to control, or they may develop diabetes later in life. All of that, we have to rule out whether testosterone is related to that.
Really?
Obviously, the most telling thing is men are going to talk about the more important organ in their life, particularly for Bahamian men, is that they're not going to have those morning erections that they usually have. They're not going to have that sexual vigor, that interest. They're not going to be able to maintain an erection and have a good quality erection. So it can affect them in terms of their self-esteem, in terms of their relationships. They can feel older before their time. So they can feel 25 years older than their own chronological age. And that's just inevitable part of low testosterone. So not everyone who has erectile dysfunction obviously is related to low testosterone, but we must rule it out.
So you're saying there's a law of diminishing returns, kind of. I mean,
It is.
And
So
there's really nothing you can do about it.
well, obviously, if you everything, moderation is important. So
Okay.
in terms of good intake of healthy foods, you want to have exercise 2 or 3 times a week. But testosterone falls 1% per year once you're 40 or older. That's just inevitable. But if we can pick up these symptoms, then that's just, you yourself will know if you're not feeling the way you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. If you, all you want to do when you come home from work is fall asleep on the couch. Your wife will probably be the one who will tell you that before you notice that you don't have that drive to do things you used to love to do. You might be prone to depression. You might have irritability. You can have hot flashes. So you can even have some of the symptoms that your wife might be going through in terms of, it's almost like the male version of menopause. So you need to watch for these symptoms.
So is this age dependent? I mean, does it start
as you get older, you can have even men having low testosterone for other reasons. So there's primary and there's secondary. Men in their teens or 20s, it's not as prevalent, but it can happen. You can have low testosterone for other reasons. But as you get older, particularly when you're 40s or 50s, it can be quite prevalent. It depends on the definition. So there are different protocols that are used throughout the world, but about at least, it's standard that at least 13% of men, middle-aged men, have low testosterone. It's higher in certain subgroups. For example, men who are obese or have type 2 diabetes. That incidence might be as high as 20%, which means in this population where the diabetes is rampant, there are a large number of proportion of men that have low testosterone and aren't aware of it and don't know that you can seek treatment for it and get back your lifestyle, get back those erections. You'll be able to lose that weight. You'll feel more energetic. You'll get that vigor back.
Well, you know, I mean, there's a saying that not all men are created equal.
Yes.
But when we're talking about testosterone, is it something that, you know, everybody's born genetically with their fair share, their, you know, sufficient quota, and then over time, this is something that, depending on lifestyle, as you're saying, it can change?
It can change, yes. Well, some people always have a higher level than others. So there might be some men who, from their teens, their 20s, their 30s, have a barely testosterone. So any fall makes them very symptomatic. There's some that start at a very high level, upper limit of normal, and any fall, they don't really have symptoms. So not only should you have low testosterone, but you need to be symptomatic before we need to treat you. And you need to rule out certain things. So there are certain contraindications to giving testosterone. That includes prostate cancer. So if you have prostate cancer requires testosterone to proliferate, to grow. So if you're known to have prostate cancer, you cannot get testosterone. If you've been in remission at least 2 years, all long-term studies show that you are safe to receive testosterone. But part of the treatment management or regime is that we rule out prostate cancer before we treat you for testosterone. Obstructive sleep apnea, severe heart failure, all these are relative contraindications to giving testosterone. So you need to seek a urologist consult. We need to investigate you. We need to get to the meat of the matter. But if you know yourself that you're not the man you used to be 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and I'm not just talking about erections. I'm talking about all of a sudden you're putting on the weight. All of a sudden you develop type 2 diabetes. You develop insulin resistance. It's related to a syndrome called male metabolic syndrome, where you have a horrible cascade of negative health effects. If you're not the man you used to be, you need to check your testosterone level.
All right. Boy. All right. Well, listen, a very, very, very interesting topic here this morning, Doc. Just wondering, so the treatment is obviously the entire body, but you're saying give testosterone, so literally you...
Yeah, so there are different ways of giving it. There's an oral form of testosterone, but in the FDA it's found that it causes too much liver toxicity. So that's not a viable option, and that's not available locally, and that's not approved. So most patients opt for a 3-monthly injection. There are also pellets that can be introduced subcutaneously that have a slow release over 3 or 4 months. There's a patch that's available. There's an oral patch that you can keep just above your molars. There's a gel as well that you can apply. So there are different ways of, and they all have the same result, that your testosterone level improve and you'll get back your quality of life and your vigor and your energy. But just need to seek urologist care. Even in the U.S., they have estimated that only 5% of men who have low testosterone are actually symptomatic, actually seek help. It's an unknown phenomenon.
Well, listen, if somebody wants to seek your help, how can they reach you?
I'm available. I have a website, urologycarebahamas.com, but I'm available at 326-1929 at the Centerville Medical Center, which is 68 Collins Avenue and 6th Terrace.
All right, Doc.
Thank you for having me.
Always interesting when we have Dr. Gregory Pinto on the show, Urology Care Bahamas. You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
One thing
two things: little thing, old things, things that are small, things that are grand, things that fit just right, and in the palm of your hand. Fox Hill Nursery, a large selection of garden supplies. If you can see it in your mind, you can find it at Fox Hill Nursery.
Grand Bahamas' biggest business conference. Be there Thursday, February 21st at the Grand Lucayan Resort at 8:30 a.m. Keynote address by Senator the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, Minister for Grand Bahama. Register now. Contact Margaret Albury at the Councilors Limited at 322-7505 or Merson Ferguson at the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce 242-352-8329 or register online at tclevents.com. Grand Bahama Business Outlook 2019.
How are we making Rev work wonders for you? We are doing it together. You told us what you want, and we've heard you. Want faster broadband? How about speeds up to 1 gigabit per second? Want shorter house calls? 2 hours max. We promise. Want to take your entertainment anywhere? Well, your Rev Go Play app is here. Rev, we've heard you. You speak, we listen. Rev, you and us together.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. We hope that you have a wonderful week. We certainly hope that you enjoyed the show.
Lion power.
Good for you. Reminds me of a guy named Remy Ferrara that used to sit in this chair back then. Good morning, Mr. Minister. I hope you're having a good one. Trusting that you all make it a wonderful week. We're going to be back with more on Friday, so we'll see you then. Bye.